Whiskey 9, 7 November, interrogative Alpha Bravo. Negative Alpha Bravo. And this is 7 November Golf. Roger, request you check your Romeo side. I'll go ahead and check my Tango side. 7 November Golf out. November 8 and 8 Claw, 7 November, say again. 7 November, go. Roger, I copied a while ago, 1 Charlie transmission that my can use and 8 5, this is 7 November, Charlie. 8 5, Roger. Now 1 Charlie, 7 November, go.
This is 1 Charlie, reference to your last, you're bringing 158 into 5 o'clock, 1200 between teams and local. Also request 3 units take inbound Nexus to see if we can try to get 59 and 8 for Pond into the playground.
And this is 7 November, Roger, stand by.
Got that.
Got it? Alright. And all units, this is 7 November Golf, my unit Alpha, Echo, X-ray Alpha Alpha in there.
One Charlie, Alpha Bravo.
Yeah, I never took a dip. I forgot to take a dip.
Whiskey 9, 7 November, interrogative Alpha Bravo. Whiskey 9, Yankee, 7 November Golf, over. This is Whiskey 9, go. Whiskey 9, 7 November, interrogative Alpha Bravo. Whiskey 9, Yankee, 7 November Golf, over. This is Whiskey 9, go. Whiskey 9, 7 November, interrogative Alpha Bravo. Negative Alpha Bravo. And this is 7 November Golf. Roger, request you check your Romeo side. I'll go ahead and check my Tango side. 7 November Golf out. And 8 Claw, 7 November, say again. 7 November, go.
Hey, how's it going, everyone? You know the deal. Via Disability Live Q&A. Ask me questions. I'll give you the answers to the best of my ability. All right. No questions. There's no live Q&A. So I'll give it a minute to let some questions roll in. I'm going to answer an email real quick from Evidence-Based VA Claims, and then we can get this show on the road. Okay. Do that. Add that email. Just linking up a veteran with a coach here. With Kish, actually. Retired VA Raider. And there we go. That veteran's off to his one-on-one. Just like that. It's magic. It is magic. I think that's all the payments. Yeah. I got a ton of emails to answer. Okay. We got some questions, I see. Let's get to it. All right, John, welcome. Thank you for joining the stream. Clay, how have you been? I'm good. I'm good. All right. Fly, Eagles, fly, I suppose. Good morning. Gary Shrev, thank you for being a member. Says, I submitted GERD with a direct theory of connection. Denied HLR found duty to assist error. DRO changed theory to secondary for NSAIDs used for service connection. Denied part 2 next. Okay, so at least you had a good DRO that would observe your NSAIDs, okay? NSAIDs, whatever. I'm getting a Nexus letter. Part 2, why would it be denied? NSAID commonly causes GERD. Well, so it's not necessarily the VA. Okay, this is the thing. Sometimes, and hear me out, sometimes it's not the VA's fault. All right. Sometimes the rater's hands are tied because they require a positive opinion from the CMP examiner. The CMP examiner really has the most power in your claim. All right. VA raters probably won't like me saying that, but that's the truth. Sometimes it's out of their hands, and without a positive nexus, there's nothing that they can do. All right. I'm glad your DRO went secondary service connection, because once I saw duty to assist error, immediately I'm thinking like a terror exam, and that's like a Hail Mary, if you will. So I'm glad to see a second theory of service connection. What do you need? Probably a nexus letter. I would look at your decision letter and see if there's a rationale as to why the opinion wasn't granted. What's your competing evidence and all that other stuff. Okay, so that's what I would start with. All right, looking for a little guidance. I just got a decision letter back. I'm not sure the rated date is correct, and I'm not sure if I should do an HLR to correct the date of rating or just leave it alone. Ryan Jones, for this, I see you have a different question too, so let me just read that one right now. Be thankful for what I have. I submitted a submittal claim in July, had a CMP exam on October 14th, got a decision letter back, awarded a P&T. Okay, so you are awarded. They're giving me 0% rating. All right. Here's the deal. First off, you're 100% P&T. And 9 times out of 10, I would say let it be. Okay. What we do offer, Ryan Jones, because it's impossible for me to advise you without looking at your situation in full. You can talk to a retired VA rater. All right. It's a $100 charge, and it's what we call a claim review. It's for those who are really at 100% P&T and who are looking at accuracy, like a effective date. And so if you want some closure on that, that would be an option. Just email us at vaclaims@ebvaclaims.com. I'll put that in the chat for you. $100 rating review for those who are 100% P&T, just to make sure everything's okay. And if you don't want to, that's fine. But with what I know now, I would probably just let it be, right? But I'm saying that without looking at your decision letter. So, okay. Danny Ringman, thanks Clay for all you do. Hey, thank you, appreciate that. Thank you for being a member. And we have our first super chat of the Saturday afternoon here from Gary. Thank you very much, Gary. Thank you for being a member. I appreciate that. We are right here. Okay, Tim's real-time fishing. I see what you did there. I like it. I was diagnosed with CSF leaking from my brain. Okay. Unsure how it happened, but I was a 13 Bravo for 20 years and a jumper for 16 years. What do you think? You have the diagnosis. I would ask your doctor. That's what I think. Okay. And then we're talking about neurological brain, maybe some inner ear issues, some leakage from your brain there. That's serious. Okay. I would talk to your doctors about what caused that and see if you have any traumatic brain injuries or TBIs, like a single incident or like micro TBI. So being exposed, your brain rattling 1 million times over 20 years is not healthy for you, right? So I would ask them first. And then I would look at, okay, well, what's your disability rating right now? Are you 100% P&T? Is it worth submitting that claim? Would that open up an avenue for SMC? Potential there for this, by the way. There's more questions than just what do I think? All right. Robert Blum, hello. How's it going? Ryan Jones, we got you. Gary, yep, no worries. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. Hi, Clay. My rating is now 80% with one rating at 70. Collecting SSDI, should I file for TDIU now or wait? If you're collecting SSDI, and you rate, you are eligible for TDIU and you meet the qualifications, absolutely. Yes, go for it. Absolutely. Right? Usually it's the inverse where the veteran's on IU first and then SSDI. All right, are exam redos a positive or negative sign? It totally depends on the, I got this itch in my back, it's killing me. It depends on the nature of your claim, right? So did you have a positive opinion on your first CMP exam? And now you're going back to another CMP exam? That's probably not good. Right? So it just depends on what do you mean by redo here. It can be both positive and negative. Yep, Gary, thank you for that. Appreciate it. All right, Marcella, marathon Q&A. Thank you for giving us the time. Hey, no worries. It's not really a marathon. I'm just doing it till 4:30, so about 3 hours. Be a 3-hour stream. My battery will die a couple times. I'll have to replace it. But yeah, we'll see. I hope I can do a 3-hour stream. If the questions keep coming, I'll be here. I'm waiting on surgery in a couple of weeks, but I was out since 2009. Yeah, it just depends on what your entire situation is. All right. So I would ask you the 4 questions. What are your years of service? MOS, branch, all that stuff. Deployments, if any. What are you service connected for right now? And what have you been denied? And that's kind of it would give me a fuller picture to kind of advise you on that. Can I pay for your company to look at my Battle Buddies claims? I mean, sure. Just email us. We'll figure it out. That's actually happened before, right? We've had people donate one-on-ones to other veterans, and we've had other veterans essentially just pay for one of their friends. Submitted private DBQ for GAD. Okay. Still scheduled CMP exam with no notes in VBMS stating why exam was scheduled due to private medical evidence insufficiency, which they should per M21. You're absolutely correct on that. They absolutely should. I'm assuming you're working with an accredited VSO or an attorney or claims agent that has access to VBMS, and they know where to look at for that. But yeah, that is wrong. That's not supposed to happen per M21 TAC 1. Donnie Wrench. Hey, Clayton. What's up? VSO here. Hi. Love helping veterans and considering possibly breaking off on my own. Recommendations. Depends on what you mean by recommendations. All right. Breaking off on your own would mean not being accredited. So I assume you mean VA claim company world. Just depends on what you mean by that. Right? You want to go the claims agent route? That wouldn't be bad. Yep, no worries. Verified with VSO. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it just, welcome to the suck. What can you do? If that claim's denied, I mean, lawyer up would be what I would recommend there. All right. G, if I only knew. How's it going? Thank you for being a member. I appreciate that. I got you. All right. Air Force girl to you. Hey, Clay, is TBI worth pursuing since they normally group it in with PTSD? It depends on what your symptoms. There's a few questions I need answered before I can give you advice. Okay, I'll do my best. What's your overall rating right now? What else are you service connected for? If you're 100% PNT, that definitely changes the game. And then I would also want to know what your TBI symptoms are. Because if it's going to be roped in with, let's say, 70% for PTSD, then it's kind of whatever if you're 100% PNT. But if you have the symptoms of TBI that aren't mental health related, Yeah, that could be a game changer. There's a route to SMCs there, depending on what type of TBI we're talking about and TBI residuals. So it just completely depends. I'll tell you this, neurological and cardiovascular are, in my opinion, the hardest rating schedules. Most difficult. All right, your tribal chief. What's up? How's it going? Carl Beal. Does getting a denial on a fully developed claim less than a day after the DBQs from the exam was posted, and your personal doctor IMO and DBQ wasn't listed as evidence or used? Yeah, that would be probably an immediate high-level review. The go-to is if you submit a private DBQ, private independent medical opinion with your claim, and is denied, immediate high-level review with an informal conference. That's like the go-to. That's not always the answer, but 9 times out of 10, that's going to be the answer. All right, so that's what I would do. And again, I'm saying that without looking at your decision letter myself, because there's some things at play, like is your DBQ actionable and sufficient? Okay, what does that even mean? Did they use all the relevant evidence? Is there any competing evidence that they didn't use? Like all of those are questions that have to be answered. JC, hey, my boy, can I claim varicose veins, swollen legs? Sure, you can submit it. Absolutely. That's not the question, though. So you can submit whatever you want. That's not the question. The question is, how are you going to submit that claim? Is it going to be direct? Is it secondary? Is it aggravation? Probably not. Is it TARA? Maybe. Okay. MUCMI? Maybe. Stretch there. Depends on the nature of your service. What does that look like? What are you already rated for? 90% rating. I'm waiting to file a new claim. Well, Tim, I'll tell you this. 90% is what we do best at evidence-based VA claims. And I'll tell you why. It's because we guarantee your money back. So if you're 90% and you want us to look at your situation to get you to see if your evidence can get you to 100%, we'll do that. And if you don't get 100%, we'll give you your money back. So it's really a win-win there. But you don't have to use us. All right, you don't have to use us at all. No big deal. There's enough videos on my channel alone, not to mention everyone else's channel, that can steer you in the right direction. I'm at 80, 2 or 50s. Can I get IU? Well, it depends. See, that doesn't make any sense, because if one of your 50% ratings are migraines by itself can rate IU. Okay, so there's always a billion questions I have to ask, but you can look at the IU qualifications, the general IU qualifications there, okay? But then there are these loopholes of migraines rating TDIU. How would a 30 and 310s VA math? Okay, first of all, you should write in complete sentences. All right, that's a PSA to everyone. And second, let's go to my favorite calculator. I like the DAV's calculator, personally. You have a 30 and 310s. That took me about 30 seconds, and at 49%. So rounded to 50, assuming none of those are bilateral. But even if they are bilateral, it's not going to change much of anything. See? 50. I was flat 50 at that point. All right, your tribal chief says VA denied sleep apnea claim, saying no link despite my Nexus letter and prescription. I'm overseas. Okay, so you probably have the diagnosis, so the prescription is kind of irrelevant, right? The VA knows you're diagnosed. So my CMP was canceled. Okay. Overseas, now waiting on Raider to pick up on my supplemental. I would have probably done a higher level review, right? You're overseas veteran. I don't know what country you're in, but CMP exams obviously aren't happening. I would probably recommend an HLR rather than a supplemental claim. If you already submitted a supplemental claim, no worries. Don't worry about it. No sweat. Just go through that process. All right. I'm curious as to what your new and relevant evidence was. I'm 100% P&T. Congrats. Hablando con Rico TV. If I file for ED, will it reopen my file for the VA to try to lower my ratings? Technically, being very technical here, the answer is yes. In reality, I think you're pretty safe. There's some rumor mill, though. People got really mad when I said this, but it's from a trusted source. I would not do it if I were you. Not for ED, at least. But you can. There's nothing wrong with it, okay? If your ratings that make up your 100% P&T are rock solid, go for it, all right? But at the end of the day, we're talking 102 or 132, 133-ish dollars, so riddle me that. Ken Kozak says, will CMP exams be affected by the shutdown? No, not according to the VA. All right, claims are being processed for disability and pension. Navy EW, thank you for being a member. I appreciate that. It says, if you change your theory of service connection after a denial, does it change your intent to file new claim? Also, are you seeing the VA combining ITFs during pursuing a single claim? I am fairly certain, don't quote me on this, I'm fairly certain your intent to file would not change based on the theory of service connection, okay? As long as your diagnosis remains the same. Are we seeing the VA combining intent to files during a single claim? So it doesn't make any sense, to be honest with you, because you have the intent to file. You can file one disability or 50 disabilities. It's on that same claim. There's some other factors like diagnosis there. It's going to become a factor. So it just depends on what we're talking about. But if you have a single claim, it would be under that intent to file. So there's nothing to combine. Like you can't have multiple intent to files. All right, you have one, it's burned, you use another one. I meant I have a 30. Oh, I got you, don't worry. Robert Blum, rated 50% for flat feet. That's a very solid rating for your feet there. Have mild osteoarthritis in knees and severe in right hip. Have knees in service. Should I claim knees and hips secondary or start primary knees? Okay, this is a great question, and I want everyone to listen up right now, okay? We don't get to choose how we submit our claim. Meaning, the evidence will dictate how you should submit your claim. You have evidence in service for your knees. Direct is the answer. All right, you don't have to think about it. You don't have to contemplate it. You don't have to gamble on primary, secondary. It's a single answer. It's direct. Okay, direct. Hips, on the other hand, that's a hard secondary, just so you know, to flat feet. You will have more potential because you have severe, pronounced flat feet, more than most, okay? For those hips, I would absolutely look at getting any evidence linking your hip condition being caused and aggravated by your bilateral flat feet there. All right, going back to no VMBMS notes for private evidence insufficiency. If the CMP exam is not in my favor, do an HLR for them not following M21 TAC 1 sufficient private evidence. HLR is probably the route to go because you have private evidence, okay? But again, I have questions on your DBQ and Nexus letter, but assuming it's actual and sufficient, everything lines up and the evidence makes sense and it's right there, it's clear as day, HLR would be the route to go. Corey Still, currently treated for anxiety and depression. I'm going to order some dang Chick-fil-A. Hold on. I'm doing a 3-hour stream. I don't have a drink on hand. I'm home alone. My wife is traveling. I can't cook for myself because I'm incapable. Let me order some Chick-fil-A and then I'll answer this question. I need a sweet tea or something, dude. Oh my goodness. We're going to get some nuggets, some Polynesian, some French fries with some Polynesian, a large sweet tea, light ice, add to order, boom, boom, boom. Apple Pay makes the world go round for some reason. Oh, man, I need to silence my phone. All right. Sorry about that. Currently treated for anxiety and depression. VSO said to submit for PTSD after a skim of 0781. Question, should I submit depression and anxiety or PTSD, or can I submit for all three? I'm going to answer your questions because you asked it. Can you submit for all three? Yes. What would I do? I would submit for PTSD. Okay. I assume you have a stressor there that's from service and that stressor is verified. If it's not, I don't know why the VSO would recommend that. So I'm making the assumption that you would have a verified stressor. Stressor claims or PTSD related claims, unspecified stressor disorder, all the stressor and several stressor related claims are, I'm going to say easier. That's not the right word to use, but it's just more straightforward. Okay. Can we drop a VSO? I've been ghosted for months, need to file by December. Yeah, you can file on your own. If I pulled up va.gov right now, which I'm not going to because I'm pretty sure I would give away some personal information on accident, it would take me like 10 minutes to file a claim online. I have a tutorial on how you can do that. Let me show you where that is, actually. I'll link it down below for you. So if you just need to file your claim, you don't have to drop your VSO at all. You can just file it on your own. There's no sense in dropping the VSO at all unless you just hate them. Submit a VA disability claim. There we go. And then the playlist has increases secondaries and evidence, okay? Submit your VA disability claim by yourself. I wouldn't drop the VSO. Like, I have a VSO. It's Del K. Graham Veterans Foundation out of Oklahoma. I'm in Virginia. There's no point to drop them unless you hate them. Okay. But can you drop them? Yes, you can. Tell the VA, or you could just use another VSO with a different accreditation and signing a 2122, which is a power of attorney, will do that automatically. It will just replace them. Marcella, thank you very much. Add this to the Sweet Tea Fund. You deserve it. Thank you very much. You're also a member. I definitely appreciate it. And yes, I do. I live just south of DC, and there's no sweet tea around here. Okay. And whoa, we have a big one here. Star Rider. I feel really weird, but thank you very much. I appreciate it. My family appreciates it. All right. Uber Eats on me, bro. Thanks for everything you do. Hey, thank you. Appreciate that. If you don't know, I'll get a little personal here. I ended up quitting my federal position February of this year to do CIVDIV full time. That's been going pretty well. And I also started to be a youth pastor for my local church. And tonight we're actually having an event wearing pajamas. So I got my pajamas ready. That's where I'm going right after this. All right. But it's my way to kind of give back to the community in that sense. So I definitely, every donation means a lot, for real. All right. Thank you so much. Yeah, no worries. The DAV calculator is definitely the one I would prefer to use. Hill and Potton has a good one too. I think they can calculate back pay there. What is the story on blast overpressure with the VA? As far as I know, they're studying it. They're looking at it. They're looking more in depth at it, but they're definitely behind. Okay, especially when you're looking at long-term exposure, repeated blasts from charge 5 out of a howitzer. Right, if you're sleeping next to it for 8 months in Syria, you're gonna have some concussions. Okay, absolutely. So, man, I still can't get over that. That's wild. Thank you, Star Rider. Thank you very much. All right, Jay Vaughn. Hey, CIVDIV. What's up? How's it going? I was denied ANA, even though I'm 100% PNT, for PTSD and back problems. So PTSD and back problems have nothing to do with ANA. Okay. What kind of evidence usually helps get approved on appeal? Okay, so you're looking at SMCS, and there's 2 different routes to that. You have the single 100% disability rating there with the additional up at 60. That's like the ANA, if you will. SMCS. Then you have like the homebound SMC TAC S there. What kind of evidence usually helps get approved? You have to show the VA that you need help daily, right? So PTSD and back problems aren't a slam dunk on that, but I want you to think of like brushing your teeth, starting your car, getting groceries, putting dishes up, right? Loading the dishwasher, getting dressed, like very normal day-to-day activities. Unless you have a severe back issue, and I'm talking like 50 or 100% for your back, it's going to be a little different. And you already have SMC TAC S. Okay, see, that changes everything. So first off, you're 100% PNT. You have S. All right, you have S. What would I do personally? There's 2 options. I would leave it alone. And I'm just saying that because I just don't think submitting claims for PNTers is a smart thing to do right now. But in your case, all right, you're denied. You're 100% PNT. You have S. I would just lawyer up. I wouldn't make a move if I were you without having an accredited attorney. All right, someone who can fight the law on your side. If you're going to pursue more SMCs, additional SMCs, I should say. All right, because you're also looking at the case law from last year as well. So it gets you're in a territory, Javon, where if I were you, I wouldn't do anything without an accredited attorney. All right, just when you think you have the answers, the questions change. I don't know what that means. Most questions that are asked here, I do my best to make multiple assumptions and give the most possible answers depending on what the situation is. So it's kind of difficult. Are VSOs working during the government shutdown? So first, VSOs, veteran service organizations, don't work for the VA. They don't work for the federal government. They are non-profit organizations, 501c3s. So yes, they're still working. The government shutdown won't have an effect on that. All right. And you're assuming that all VSOs within a VA disability accreditation sense are paid. They're not. Not all. Good afternoon, Jarhead. What's up? How's it going? Robert E. Tyler Collier Jr., I love saying your name here. I got a great question regarding a Q claim. May I email you folks? Yes, I would look at, I said this earlier, but I'll say it again. We have an option for those who are already rated. We're not looking at denials or anything. You're looking at Qs, effective dates, claim accuracy. Okay. Shoot us an email. VA claims at ebvaclaims.com. You'll talk to a retired VA rater. It's a $100 fee to have a claim accuracy review. And if you don't want to do that when it comes to Qs, my number one go-to is always Lawyer Up. Always. Dirty Bird. There was a predetermination claim filed for my daughter's Chapter 35. Could this affect my 100% P&T rating? No. You're fine. Very, very common question, but no, you're fine. All right. Okay, my order has been picked up. Currently 30% for migraines, filed for increase, taking injections through VA, using FMLA, missing up to 4 days a month. At work for flare-ups, buddy letter from supervisor, still denied. What next? Okay, that's pretty wild that you're on FMLA. You're 30% for migraines. What I would do is a high-level review with an informal conference, and I would actually look at TDIU. If that is the route you want to go with your life, that part as a you thing, you have to figure that out. But you can get TDIU for 50% on migraines for something exactly like this. Okay. Now my question is, this FMLA over here, is it strictly for migraines? Or is it something else? All right. Home Alone. Yes. GC Jarhead. My kids aren't here. They're at the in-laws. And my wife is traveling for work. And this happens every time. I don't know why. I get Uber Eats every day now too. Too much hassle with everything out there. I don't get it every day. It's just I started the stream and I didn't realize that I was thirsty. And I don't want to leave the stream, so. All right, Marcella, thank you for that. We hit that up. GC Jarhead, I'm out in the sticks. By preference, can't even get pizza delivered. Yeah, that part does suck. That part sucks. Good afternoon, Frame B. Franco. Don't forget, Star Writer, thank you very much. Appreciate that. All right. I was denied supplemental claim for IBS secondary to my service-connected anxiety. My decision letter only states service connection denied, but it does not talk about secondary denial. Yeah, so you probably have a short narrative letter there. The C&P examiner probably gave a rationale. When you look at IBS secondary, is it common, especially on anxiety? The answer is yes. Is it a common denial from the lenses of a C&P examiner because C&P examiners suck? That answer is also yes, okay? And so I would look at the nature of your denial, and then you might want to consider a Nexus letter from American Medical Experts. You'll find that down below in the description. Or you can email us. We'll take a look at your entire VA claim situation. Yeah. HLR would be, I'm going to assume the C&P examiner gave you a hard denial, and so an HLR probably wouldn't help you in that case. It could, but probably not. Because I come from where CIVDIV lives now. Yes. Just south of DC. I'm from Kentucky, though. C-Bax, how's it going? Hello. Thank you for being a member. That's the email, by the way. Staria Goins says, Shalom, shalom. How does one get a rating? I've been trying to get my 65-year-old hubby a rating? That's a grand question, okay? How do you get a rating? You got to file for it, okay? You don't need your medical records. The VA will get them on their own. That's its own explanation there. You simply file for it. So what did your hubby complain about in service? All right, what deployments have they been on? Are there any exposure-related illnesses or presumptives that they could file for? And essentially go head to toe, right? Mental health, migraines, brain injuries, sinuses, rhinitis, eye conditions, ear conditions, tinnitus, hearing loss, vertigo, dizziness. Look at dental structure and just kind of go head to toe all the way down and look at what they complain about in service and what they have a current diagnosis for. Then go to va.gov and submit it. All right, when submitting a claim for aggravation of a pre-service condition. Okay, so you got some good questions, dude. How does the VA argue and deny for normal age progression? Do they use a formula? So it's not the VA, it's the CMP examiner, which is contracted, okay? And CMP examiners suck. I'm telling you, the common denominator in most claims that should be approved but aren't are CMP examiners, okay? And if your CMP examiner gave an opinion of normal age progression, you're going to have to get a medical professional who is higher than them in the hierarchy chart to combat that opinion with their own opinion that's backed by evidence. Okay, I'm going to, I have no idea, to be honest with you. My food got here. I'm going to answer this question when I get back, all right? Okay. Just got my 100% P&T about 2 months ago. My daughter just got approved for Chapter 35. Are they still sending payments during the shutdown? Yes, they are. However, there has been a glitch in the computer system. I'll show you that right now. All right, let's hop over to our handy dandy thing over here. I took a picture of this article, which is right here. Computer glitch delays higher ed payments for veterans, dependents, and survivors. I'm a survivor. Okay. Boom. Look at this. Computer glitch. Oh, ads. Computer glitch delays higher ed payments for veterans, dependents, and survivors. I'm not going to read that. You pretty much get the gist from the title. Okay. So long story short, the VA is processing these by hand, and it's taking a lot longer. So, yeah. Long story short. When submitting claims and there's a clear service event, can using cited studies and personal statements be sufficient? sufficient to make the connection. I am personally not a fan of citing studies. Okay. It's hard to explain, but it takes credentials to read a study, if that makes sense. Okay. There's a joke in the medical community that doctors go to med school so that way they can read studies. Stupid joke, whatever. But it gets the point, okay? The point is we're not qualified to determine which studies support our case or not. I wouldn't worry about studies. What I would worry about is your personal, unique evidence. Personal statements are a great avenue for that, especially to outline your evidence that you submit with your claim. But you do have a clear service event. So we're talking direct here. Direct claims are relatively easier. Okay. The theme VA is denying more claims, just had my knee claim denied. It doesn't work like that. Okay. I would look at why you were denied. All right. The theory of connection. So the theory of connection is direct, secondary, aggravation, Terra. There's 1151s, but we won't talk about that. Then you have your presumptives on time and then time location, like PACT Act. Then you have MUCMIs, okay? So depending on the theory of service connection, the requirements change for each. In fact, I have something that goes into that much deeper. And let me see if I can pull it up quickly here. Because to understand the criteria of service connection or the criteria needed for each basis there is critical. Where is this at? Where? Could this be? Oh, it's right here. I titled Theories of Service Connection. What an idiot. Okay, here it is. Let me move my mouse. So you see how direct has the big three here? So you have to meet these elements, okay? Secondary has a big three, different elements, all right? Current diagnosis is going to remain the same, but element 2 and 3 change. Aggravation has 3 elements, 1151s, there's Terra, there's presumptives, those are easy peasy. That's MUCMIs, that's a little difficult, all right? So instead of looking at the VA, is it the VA denying more claims? Doesn't work like that. I would look at your personal evidence and see how that works. And by the way, if you're curious as to what our claim company does, it's this right here. One of our coaches made this. We go through every potential claim you have. We look at the theories of service connection, and we kind of just plug and play, connect the dots. So that's what we do. All right, William Sims, Dr. Sharma got me 70%. That's awesome to hear. Okay, let him know that your claim was successful too. He definitely get some gratification from that. All right, at first denied, but he did a free rebuttal. Awesome that he does free rebuttals. I didn't even know that. All right, how do I hire you for another claim? So I would look. Depends what we're talking about. Okay, but we do free consultations through email. Just email us, vaclaims@ebvaclaims.com. All right. Free consultations there. And if I feel, because we have a money back guarantee. So if I believe that we can help you out, we'll take you on. And there's 100% money back guarantee there. And so it kind of puts checks and balances on what we do. And then, and if I don't believe we can help you out, because the goal is for me not to pay you back, right? The goal is for you to be increased. Then I'll be straight up with you. All right, Carlos Dixon, thank you very much, and you're a member. I'm 100% PNT. We have something for this. All right, congrats to you. I would like to know, do you think I should file for special monthly compensation for loss of eyesight due to having strokes, can't drive? When you're looking at blindness, I think we're in L territory, if I'm correct there. L and a half, one of those. Yeah, if you're talking about blindness and you can't drive, yes, I think that's a little different than ED. Okay. All right. P.S. Everyone go on a mission trip to the Philippines. We could use some extra hands. Hey, email the church. All right. I go to this church here. All right. Starla or just simply Star? 23 years, 80% IU, PNT, SSDI. Yeah. If you're on IU and SSDI, that's like the most disabled of us. You're in that most disabled group there. So thank you for your service. I'm definitely grateful. Am I in the DC VA area? I am. All right. Oh, yeah. And Billy Hartman says, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for that. I always forget. Yes, I'm in the DC area. I'm about 12 minutes south of the Washington Monument. Without traffic on 95, obviously. All right, Brian Wood, retired gunny. Thank you for your service. I want to thank you for your dedication to us disabled vets. Simplify. Hey, thank you, Brian. Appreciate that. My attorney had the higher level review appointment with VA yesterday. All she told was that they agreed I need exams. Should I get a new attorney? Not really. Not based on this comment, at least. I'm curious if there's a duty to assist error, what that error actually is. That's the question I would ask your attorney, and ask what the error actually is. And if these new exams are Terra exams, generally speaking, that's not a good sign of your claim. If you're looking at a Terra exam on a duty to assist error, it's like a Hail Mary, if you will. Hail Mary throw in football. Sometimes it does work, but most times it does not. So I'm just curious as to what the error was in the first place. But I don't think you should get a new attorney. All right. I'm happy that they did an HLR and they didn't just send it straight to the board for more back pay. So I'll take that as a win. One question, one bite. Nobody can find his records. Yeah, I would just go straight through the federal government on the VA, and the VA was going to have an easier time doing that. I recently put in a claim to add my 3-year-old son as a dependent. It's now been 2 weeks. Oh, man. You're definitely not going to like this answer. I'm wondering what's the average time it takes to process. I would have been done, but it wanted a DNA test first. Okay. I'm just going to assume we're talking about VA still and just roll with that. Okay. So dependent claims. I've seen it myself where veterans get the dependent claim processed in 2 or 3 days. I've also seen 8-9 months. Mine took like a year and a half, and I got a decent amount of back pay from that. Okay. So Billy says, hope you got enough food for everybody. Yeah. I think I answered it about your attorney. Old Sims to Dr. Sharma. Oh, yeah, no worries. We answered that one. And thank you for the super chat, by the way. Okay. Yeah, you're on FMLA strictly for migraines. Immediate HLR with informal conference, and I would ask about 50% for migraines and TDIU. First step, ensure father eligibility. Oh. Can you talk a little bit about the PACT Act and heavy particulates other than burn pits? Does it include sandstorms? Not necessarily. No, does not include sandstorms. If you have a diagnosis and location, can they deny it if there's nothing on your ILER? If you meet the criteria for presumptive, and I'll talk about this a bit in depth here. Let's go to the Googles. We want to pull up this Go Lucky Pro thing right here. This is the presumptive disability benefits. Now, it doesn't have the 3 new ones like breast cancer. There's G cancer on it and another one, but those are pretty rare anyways. So there's POW, that's Vietnam, that's atomic, which is crazy to me. And then this is Gulf War. So this is like your Gulf War PACT Act, which I assume you're a Gulf War veteran. Obviously, Vietnam's a part of that as well. Okay. So when you look at heavy particulate matter and burn pits or urate exposure, this is what we're talking about. So these are not presumptives; they're MUCMIs. Okay? And again, we're talking theories of service connection. So direct, secondary. Now you have MUCMIs, and you have to understand these 3 elements. And so we have 6 months of chronicity. Okay. So immediately, if you're thinking MUCMIs, you should be thinking about the big 3 for the MUCMIs. Okay. And these are right here. CFS, fibro, and IBS. And then you have your undiagnosed illnesses. Okay. And so, yes, headaches can be quote unquote presumptive. One of my good friends has his headaches at 50% as a presumptive. Okay. And so these are your undiagnosed illnesses. Now, more often than not, okay, when you talk about PACT Act, these are all your cancers. You're mainly talking about these right here: asthma, chronic bronchitis, COPD, rhinitis, sinusitis, so on and so forth. Okay. Those are your time, location presumptives. And again, we go back to our big 3 here. You have 3.320, a type of airborne hazard presumptive theory. Okay, so you have those elements. And then you have a type of presumptive based on like time, right? Like tinnitus within 1 year, hearing loss within 1 year, whatever. And so it changes on the big 3. Obviously, we're talking about these. Okay. And that's pretty much it. If you meet the criteria for presumptive, right there, and then you have a current diagnosis, you're good to go when it comes to presumptives. All right. Let me just go ahead and link that below. I know someone's going to ask for it. It's pretty long. I'm not sure if YouTube will let me. Yeah, there's your presumptives. All right, we have a new member, Trish Wade 22. Thank you very much. Make sure, if you're a member, to join our Discord. If everyone can join Discord, even if you're not a member. But if you are a member, you really want to join the Discord, the comment is pinned right now up at the very top of the chat. Click on that, join the Discord, link your account, and you get 24/7 Q&A with a retired VA rater. I pay him for that, so please ask him questions, okay? Make him get his money's worth, or my money's worth, I guess. I do love me a good yacht. Nice. Man, I didn't know that. That would help, Billy. Yeah. So if you go to our website, ebvaclaims.com, you'll find our emails and why you shouldn't use us. Okay, there's an email right there. Some information. Go to resources, which I didn't know. I guess I did know, I just forgot. And then you have your theories of service connection right there. Bam! Look at that. It's beautiful. We have a resource list. And then we have easy 38 CFR click through thing here. Okay. So check it out. And then email us. Bam. All right. Thank you for that, Billy. Appreciate it. That's Billy. We got that. We got that. Thank you very much. That's the email. Okay. Hold on. I'll come back to that. I hope. Member for 7 months. Thank you, Marcella. Appreciate that. I hope someone else can benefit from this as much as I have. I posted a couple follow-up comments about the PACT Act stuff. Yeah. Don't worry. I have a, this is a long stream. I'm sure we will get to it. And thank you for the gift to NFT Degenerates. It's random NFT. So thank you very much, Marcella. Appreciate that. I'm sure NFT appreciates it too. All right, got out. 1989 Terra-related entry on my VA problem list states exposure. All right, so boom, conceded exposure. Got it. Is it considered an in-service event? Is it an in-service event for exposure, for being exposed? Yes. All right, you're gonna rate a Terra exam. It's not an in-service event. In-service event means something. It's not how you're using it right here. You're looking at it as element 2 from direct. That's not what this is, because you're automatically talking about Terra, which is right here. Okay. And so Terra is going to be conceded. That part's not the issue. The issue for you is element 3, the medical opinion connecting the current diagnosis to the conceded exposures. That's your issue. All right. So you have exposures. Boom. Got it. What's your diagnosis? And what's the opinion linking those together? Okay. VA disability is kind of like a, yes. Definitely not the same Kish for sure. But I assume he's exposed to something in service, and that would at least be that's good enough for me to at least consider Terra claims. The Terra is not really the big issue there. It's more so the current diagnosis for you, impeach Obama. It's a funny name. Okay. Let me eat a chicken nugget. All right. I filed for PTSD and TBI at the same time, had my CMP exam for PTSD, but the CMP examiner said the VA will just group my TBI with PTSD because it would be hard to differentiate and will not increase. So first off, it's weird an examiner would even say that. It's kind of out of their lane. It's not their job to do that. At the same time, they're not wrong. If your TBI symptoms don't differentiate, and you'll see that on the DBQ, differentiating, what is it, like section 2, I think, where it says diagnosis, differentiating symptoms, it's going to be roped together. And it's very, very common for TBI and PTSD to be roped together, especially at that 70% mark. Very, very common. What Billy said, do it. do they ever do an ACE exam for mental health increase? So ACE exams are acceptable clinical evidence. I'm talking like being technical here. I don't think the answer is yeah, and Kish said no, mental health is excluded from ACE. Yeah. But you look at ACE exams, I would really caution anyone from saying this is what happens every single time with every single claim. Situations are very unique, right? And mental health exams are exempt from ACEs. So what are your thoughts on P25? We're just going in with questions today. So I'm not going to answer that on stream because it's going to take about 30 minutes to show you my reasoning. Because if I just give an answer, people are going to flip out. But I'll link a video for you where I went down by the numbers. Here it is right here. Oh, we didn't even do too good. 8K in 1 month is kind of poopy. If you want to know what my thoughts on P25 are recently, there you go. You want a waffle fry. You should get one. You should absolutely get one. You're fine, dude. You don't bother me. On paper, thank you for being a member. Appreciate that. If I'm currently 100% for a brain issue, 8,002, 100% alone. I just had a residual appointment under the impression it was stable. Letter rated my brain still as unstable at 100 while also rating residuals. Yes, there's a residual. I know exactly what you're talking about. I just can't remember what it looks like. Because at some point it does go into residuals. So 8002, 38 CFR, ECFR. The two hardest, in my opinion, rating schedules are neurological and cardiovascular. Yeah, so right here, the note. The rating code 8002 will be continued for 2 years following cessation of surgical, chemo, or other treatment modality. At this point, if the residuals have stabilized, which your exam or your determination is that it has not, the rating will be made on neurological residuals according to symptomologies, and at least from this comment alone, it's not stable, right? So you are not here yet. You're in this little part right here. Neurological, it's very, very difficult. Same with cardiovascular. My VSO recommended I fight the reval necessity, even though once it drops to residual, only I lose my special compensation. I hate the reevaluation stress. Well, I'm not going to recommend you fight it one way or the other, but it's very clear that after 2 years, at this point, if the residuals have stabilized, the rating will be made on neurological residuals according to symptomology. So I don't know what you would be fighting. And then what are your residuals, right? What are your symptoms? How is the VA going to rate that? You know, I don't think your VA disability world is not over. I can tell you that. Chick-fil-A is so unhealthy, but it tastes good. Well, it's only unhealthy if you're trying to be healthy. Me, I'm just trying to survive while my wife is gone. Therefore, I'm eating Chick-fil-A. Okay. My torso gets blotchy and itchy when exposed to the sun. I didn't have any skin issues before Iraq. We did go over 30 days without a shower. Okay. The longest time I went without a shower, I believe, was 3.5 months in Syria. Now, your torso gets blotchy and itchy when you're out in the sun. So what? I'm saying it like that because what's your clinical diagnosis? Because if you don't have one, no diagnosis, no claim, period. No diagnosis, no claim. There's a poll option here. I want to start a poll, okay? All right. There's the poll. We'll close that here in a few. Yeah, but there's definitely possible for MUCMI there, some exposure, okay, for sure. But I'm more interested in your clinical diagnosis, okay? The reason I said so what like that is I just want to drive into your head, get a diagnosis. All right, so essentially, is it worth trying to fight it to say my brain is stable to avoid regular reevaluations and lose? No, I mean, it's going to happen, okay? Like it's going to, you are going to, at some point in your life, you are going to be, yeah, I get it. Yeah, like it's going to happen. If you want to, on paper, all right, email us and just put a claim review in there. I'll shoot you the information. It's $100. That's all it is. Actually, you're a member. I will cover it. Okay. I'll cover it. Email me. Put claim review in the subject or something. I'll try and get to it today so it doesn't get buried in all the other emails. And then I'll cover your claim eval with Kish. And you can just speak to him directly. Right. But it's going to happen. Okay. And if you're looking at reducing that too, I mean, you could be rated for things that you haven't even submitted for yet. Like the world is open. Okay. Yeah, no worries. Now, I said claim review, so I now need to clarify because people get it twisted a little bit. I'll answer your question here in a second. A claim review is you're already rated, right? You might be 90, you might be 100% P&T. You're looking at accuracy. You're looking at effective dates. Okay, we're not looking at denials. We're not doing a whole one-on-one. We ain't got time for that. We have another service of that's for. But if you want a claim review, you can speak directly to Kish. Okay. Yeah, no worries, Kish. Enjoy your time off, dude. All right, Marcella. Ever since I was in Saudi post 9/11, one side of my nose is always clogged. Yeah, you're probably looking at some sinus issues there. I will say this, Marcella. The easiest thing to do is you got a CT scan to check for polyps, is get a diagnosis. That was exactly going to be my next thing, is get a diagnosis, right? The CT scan would have shown rhinitis with polyps. That's 30%, by the way. That's more rare than people think it is. The most common ratings for rhinitis are 0 and 10. But that's the next step, is get a clinical diagnosis. You meet the criteria for presumptive already, and go for it. W.T. Gardner, congrats, dude. Thank you for your info on your channel. Never stop researching veterans. Yeah, I hope that, I'm glad to be part of your journey. I'm glad this channel helped you. That's the whole purpose of the channel in the first place. And I hope that released some financial stress on your life, dude. And thank you for being a member. Appreciate it. My HLR is for another reason and not sleep apnea since. I totally skipped that question. Okay, my bad. I recently got diagnosed for moderate sleep apnea, and it put my intent, but currently have an open HLR. If my sleep apnea puts me at 100, what happens with my HLR date? Does it go away? Hold on. My HLR is for another reason. Okay, so you have an HLR for another claim. You just got diagnosed with sleep apnea, and you put it in your intent, but currently have an open HLR. Okay, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Your HLR is trucking down the road. I don't know if you submitted your sleep apnea claim or not, but that's its own. Like, we're talking apples and oranges. Okay, I wouldn't conflate the two. If your sleep apnea is approved, and first I would look at your basis of service connection, right? So we're back. Every single claim comes back to here, all of them. I would look at your basis of service connection. I'm going to assume we're talking sleep apnea. It's going to be secondary, okay? And if that puts you at 100, fine. Your HLR is still going to go. And it could be vice versa. Your HLR finishes first. Your sleep apnea comes up. Oh, yeah, no worries. We got that one. And you need to get a CT scan. Okay, got it. That's the next step, is get the diagnosis. Oh yeah, I already answered this one. I'm nuts. Okay. Peace, or P3AEC. On my third sleep apnea supplemental, have DBQ and Nexus letter from head of VA sleep clinic. Rater still scheduled me for OSA CMP exam. Claims processor. Any idea why? Any questions I should ask CMP about the completed DBQ? You could, all right? I would bring it with you to your exam. I'm curious as to why you were denied the first and the second time. And then whatever the reason that denial is for, I'm curious if your head of VA sleep clinic person combated the reason for denial. Okay? That's like alarms going off in my head right now. That's what I would look at. But any questions on how to tread through your CMP exam, let them know that you got a completed DBQ and Nexus from the head of VA sleep clinic, and that you brought it with you in case they want to see it. But they don't have to see it. Okay? They don't have to see it. What were your means of managing migraines? Will the VA cover me similar treatment? Okay. My migraines are managed by a couple things. This is one of them. It's Gamma Core. Okay. Comes with this little device, some gel. You put the gel on it. I do it twice in the morning, twice in the evening. You put it on your vagus nerve, which is somewhere yonder. Okay. You'll know when you hit it because your lip will do this like little draggy thing. Then you do 2-minute treatments. This is my 2 in the morning, 2 in the evening called Gammacore. Yes, the VA does cover it. Okay. Whoops. I also take amitriptyline at night. Then I'm on a new medication. I used to be on sumatriptan. That sucked. Rizatriptan sucked. And when I say sucked, it just knocked me out. I'm on a new one that doesn't knock me out. It's very good, but I totally forgot the name of it. It's upstairs in my closet right now. So that's what I use. Banger. Okay. So TERA, toxic exposure risk activity, is a type of theory of service connection, 3 elements. When exposure to chemicals while in service cause your disability. All right. Current diagnosis, concession of exposures, and then the nexus linking your exposure or your current diagnosis to your exposure. That's what a TERA claim is. GERD can be TERA related. Migraines can be TERA related. Skin, there's some neurological conditions like veins and stuff like that can be TERA related. Sleep apnea can be TERA related. That's a solid service connection, by the way, for sleep apnea. TERA is, if you know what direct and secondary are, I would say TERA is like a combination of the two. It's direct because the exposure happened directly in service. It's secondary because the opinion is linking your current diagnosis to your exposure. So it's kind of like if direct and secondary had a baby, it would be TERA exams. Toxic exposure risk activity, TERA. That's what it is. Jared, thank you for that. Okay. I don't see any questions that you have. I'm sure you asked one. Do me a solid. If you have a question, so I don't have to go look for it, just type it as a new chat below. And I have the live chat on my right, and I'm going in order. And so once I see your question, your new question, I'll answer it right then and there. All right. But thank you for that, Jared. Appreciate it. All right, Ken. Do you think they will ever adjust the PACT Act inclusion date? No, I don't. No, I do not, because the PACT Act didn't pass. It wasn't all go lucky for the PACT Act to pass in the first place. And now that money is a real issue to the point where we can't even pass a major registrar act or make it come to a vote. I don't see anyone. I don't see the PACT Act being the dates in countries like Bosnia, Kosovo. Okay, you have Sinai in the early 80s. I don't see that happening ever. That's totally my opinion. That's not like the real answer. The real answer is I don't know. But how I'm seeing the federal government work right now, which is funny because they're not, that answer is no. Yeah, I got a question that I'm totally going to answer first. Hold on. Okay, random question. I know Darth Maul is your favorite. Darth Maul is my favorite, like, fictional character. Okay. But are you also a Star Wars fan in general? Yeah, I like Star Wars. Not as much as Lord of the Rings. That's what that's for. And what are those two characters on the right? They're not The Witcher. It's from Lord of the Rings, War of the Rohirrim. It's the newest Lord of the Rings movie. It is an animation. I'm not a big animation fan, so I wasn't too happy with it. But I like Lord of the Rings enough to... Lord of the Rings, War of the Rohirrim. This movie. So this is the lady. And then this guy is the guy. But yeah, it's a Lord of the Rings thing. That's where it's from. Great question. That's my favorite question of the afternoon here. All right. Thank you for that. Navy EW. I've been out 40 plus years and predate ILER, digital SCRs. I understand that Terra originate at the DoD. Is there any way to add missing exposures you believe you had? My Terra was only asbestos. I would speak to your healthcare provider directly and get that going. That's what I would do versus being on the claim side of the house. I would do it on the healthcare side of the house. They have I'm just going to call it burn pit exam. It's not called that. It's called something else. But essentially, you walk through all the exposures of your military service. Okay. Yeah, Marcella. I'm not a big animation fan at all. It's just not my thing. But when Lord of the Rings came out with War of the Rohirrim, my son really wanted to go watch it, and he became a Lord of the Rings fan. And for that, that was pretty cool. So it was good for him. So. And the story is canonical, so it's pretty good. It leads into the Two Towers. I love you, man. I love you too. Okay, hold on. We have more questions about things I really care about. Okay, so I got to answer these. Trish Wade 22. Thank you for being a member. Where do you get the sword? I forgot to ask when you revealed it on YouTube. Yeah, well, since you've asked again. Okay. This is a legit sword. I had a workout ball over there, and I didn't know if the sword was real, so I sliced it, and it cut right through it. It's a legitimate sword. Okay. I also poked a hole in my ceiling right above me on live stream. But this is Anduril, Flame of the West. It's the sword that Aragorn uses. It's the Gondor sword. Okay. This thing's 4.5 feet long. It's heavy. It's awesome. Okay. I got it from. Oh, I did not just get sauce on my new shirt. I did. Oh, I got sauce on my new shirt. Okay, hold on. That did not go in my favor at all. Look at this. And my camera died. Okay, let me fix it. My whole world is melting. Okay. I got it from, I had the little thing here. I'm going to be buying all of these at some point. But it's unitedcutlery.com. And they have, I don't know if you can see that, but they have, look, that's Sauron's mace, dude. Oh my gosh, look at that. Can you see? And they have all these. Anyways, that's where it came from. My shirt's ruined. My shirt's ruined, dude. I don't know what happened. My whole world just crashed in front of me. All at the same time. All right, Clay, do you feel that using VA for your healthcare is beneficial to your claims? Absolutely, I do. 100% I do. And I would recommend all veterans at least get your typical routine once a year check-in with your primary care. Okay. Why? For VA claims specifically, okay, it's easier for the VA to get those records, their VA records, all right? And then healthcare is important. Healthcare for VA claims is evidence. And I'm a big fan of evidence, so that's why. And then for KISH, what info does the VA share with a rater? Yeah, I mean, everything relevant to the claim. Everything relevant to the claim. Okay, we have a super chat here. DK Guns. StreamYard doesn't show the super sticker, but I see it here. Thank you very much, DK Guns. And I totally forgot we had a poll. How do I close the poll? Oh, here we go. Okay. Is Chick-fil-A the best on the planet? About half and half. A little bit over half. Okay. All right. Okay, let's get back to answering some questions before I ruin my shirt more. Navy EW. Okay, that's a question to someone else. Question. Okay. Thanks, Clay. Being that I'm not covered by presumptive, now I understand what's required. Hey, no worries. All right. If Clay has done nothing else, he taught me that without a diagnosis, I was just spinning my wheels. If you don't get anything from this channel, no diagnosis, no claim is a win, okay? After I took his advice, I went from 40 to 100% P&T in 2 years. Awesome. Congrats to you. That's great. I know we already did this for you, but we'll do it again because we can. So, congrats. I'm glad I was able to help. I'm glad as dumb as getting help from YouTube sounds, it actually works. So, imagine that. All right, Tim R. VHA had me scheduled for surgery related to sinus issues 2 months after scans and diagnosis. So happy with my care. Yeah, it's not timelines, you know. Timelines aren't always the best. Community care is supposed to fix the issue there. So, all right. A lady boy. I'm gonna hope I just mispronounced that. Okay. E lady boy. A lady boy. L Eddie boy. I don't know. You got some. Maybe you went to Thailand too many times. Okay. If you've been in Thailand, then you know. I'm currently 30% for mental health. I'm filing for an increase and including secondary claims for IBS, sleep apnea, and migraines. Solid secondaries here. Okay. If mental health increase is denied, does that mean these secondaries will be denied? No, not at all. So let's go back to, we always go back to this. For those 3 claims, you're talking about this. For your mental health increase, your mental health technically could be 0%, and you would still be eligible for secondary claims. Probably not likely, to be honest with you. But that's if it was at 0, right? So you're talking about an increased claim, which is way over here, and then secondary claims, which are way over here, completely different. If you're denied the increase, it has no effect on the approval or denial of your secondaries. Now, I will share a video with you, actually. It's one of the legacy videos on the channel. Right here, what does 70% look like? You're going to find a lot of similarities in 70 and 50. So if you haven't seen this yet, check this out. I'll link it down below. Yeah, L. Eddie boy. Yeah, my bad. Yeah. At least I explained my thought process so you understood how I got to where I got. Currently at 94%. I'm diagnosed with bruxism, IBS, and night frequent urination. Do I need a next letter to connect these mental health or sleep apnea? So if you're already rated for mental health, which I'm going to assume you are within your 94%, bruxism is going to do nothing. Worst case scenario, bruxism is going to spark up a new CMP exam for mental health, and that could or could not be in your favor. IBS, secondary to mental health, pretty common, but you need a strong medical opinion. Frequent urination, not commonly roped under mental health. You'll see that due to medications, okay? And so if that's a route for you, then sure. And I'm assuming you're already connected for sleep apnea. So here's what I would tell you, MUYA. Let me navigate to, actually, I need to go find it. Let me find this real quick. It's in a template somewhere. I'm going to show you, if you email evidence-based VA claims, we're going to send you a questionnaire. It's going to be this exact one. Okay, here it is. So this is the questionnaire, okay? What are your years of service, range MOS, where have you deployed, what are you service connected for, and what have you been denied? And so if I were you, I wouldn't worry about bruxism. IBS and frequent urination are on the table, kind of. I would answer these questions, all right? And I would go through the 5 steps. Increases, secondaries, denials, new claims, looking at initial direct, and then you have presumptives and Terra. Okay, go through the 5 steps, and then see if you're properly rated or not. Right now, that's what we do at evidence-based VA claims. We'll do that for you. But if you're going to do it yourself, I would use this questionnaire, and I would go through the 5 steps. If you want to even know what the 5 steps are, and you want to do it on your own and research it on your own, I'll link a playlist for you. And that playlist is called the 5-step process. Look at that. Boom. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 videos on the 5-step process. All right. And I'll link that down below for you. 5-step process. All right. We don't do black magic on evidence-based VA claims. We just follow the process. That's it. And yes, you can do that yourself. All right, Ashton Martin, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate that. Says, had 2 CMP exams this week. Back radiculopathy went well, but TMJ one was awful. Examiner claimed no diagnosis, even though my MEB has the ICD code. Okay, where can I do? Yeah, higher level review instantly. Okay, I always do HLRs with informal conferences. You have the ICD code there. I want to know time frames. Like, was that 20 years ago? That matters. Or is it very recent? Okay, and while you're at it, go get a dental exam. Go get another one and do an HLR with an informal conference. And you already know where your MEB docs are. You have the ICD code. You can bring that up in the informal conference fairly easily. So that's what I would do. And yes, the VA should catch it. And you may have another CMP exam for TMJ. If they don't, HLR would be my first line of effort there for sure. If you're denied on the basis of no diagnosis. For mental health increase, do they re-ask everything, or is it about your current symptoms? Yeah, so the service connection aspect is gone. It's going to be about current symptoms. Okay? And that's what matters most. Current symptoms. You can kind of talk about what happened in service, but the service connection aspect is over. It's all about current symptoms. It's all about current symptoms. Oh my gosh, Jared. I apologize. I'm here. I got it. I'm glad I saw that. I guess I didn't see it. All right. Thank you so much for all the hard work you're doing for veterans. I look forward to your videos. What happens to VA benefits if you leave the U.S.? Okay. You are entitled to all of your benefits within the constraints of where you're at. And if you move, let's say to Italy or Thailand or the Philippines, the VA will only cover what you are service connected for at VA facilities. Okay. If you go somewhere where there's no VA presence at all, that's the life you chose and it is what it is. But as far as VA benefits, you still rate. There's just going to be a massive change to healthcare for VA covered healthcare. Okay. There's you would actually get benefit from, let me look up this. You want to see who I'm subscribed to on YouTube? All these people. There is someone who is, once I see his name, he lives in Italy. Ah, here it is. He has his own channel. It's this guy right here. He lives in Italy and deals with that exact thing. And I would ask him personally what his experience is like. And you'll get a straightforward answer, right? And then John is also here in the Philippines as well. So here is living abroad with VA benefits. And of course, I would spell that incorrectly. Here we go. I would check that out. That way you can speak to him, John McConnell. You can speak to this guy directly and get all the infos there. Okay, hope that answers your question. For mental health increase, do they re-ask everything or is it about how your current symptoms? Oh, we answered that one. It's about symptoms. I do use sumatriptan and do Imitrex pen loaded shots. Yeah, I can't do shots at all. I'm a baby. I have tattoos. I have a lot of tattoos actually on my chest, my legs, my arms. I can't do shots. I will die. Can't do injections. Can't do acupuncture. I'm a baby. Okay. All right. Sorry, I never did a super chat. Oh. Well, got that one. No, we got the sword one. Absolutely. Yes. Nice. Gondor calls for aid, and Rohan will answer. All right. I commented in the super chat section again. Oh, don't worry about it. I missed it. Got it. Only a married guy understands the horror of getting sauce in your shirt. I know. My wife isn't here to spray that little spray stuff on it, so I'll have to go do it myself. Have you tried shaving with the sword yet? I have not. It's a little big. All right. I'll probably do more damage than harm. And then I shave now. I just kind of like line up my baby beard here. It's a little patchy. It kind of, I don't like it. Yeah, typical day. I know. Dude, that's what it'd be. It'd be like that. It's the sword. It's the sword. Yep. Thank you. Hold on. We have another super chat. Liberator. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Says, for hypertension secondary to PTSD or sleep apnea, I have evidence for 10%. Is one service connection stronger than the other? Should I hire a company? Okay. Should you hire a company? If you, based on this, so a company, you do not hire a company for a single claim. All right. For instance, at evidence-based VA claims, we will look at your entire situation. Right? Yes, we'll look at this specific one. I'm going to tell you what to do right now, but we would look at your entire situation. So depending on where you're at and what you want, that's a you decision. Now, focusing on hypertension secondary to PTSD, is it common? Yes, it's common. Yes, it can be connected. When you look at sleep apnea, that gives me another factor to consider, which is obesity. I want to know if your sleep apnea connection involved an intermediate step of obesity. Because if that's the case, hypertension secondary to your obesity is a very strong claim, right? And then hypertension on its own, I'm assuming you're taking diuretics since your blood pressure is high, okay? Since you're on diuretics, there's another secondary on hypertension for urinary frequency, all right, assuming you're on diuretics. So I would look at obesity there and see if that's the route. If it's not, hypertension secondary to PTSD, and I would gather as much evidence as you possibly can on that. And sleep apnea was secondary to depression medication, yes. Yeah. I would look at your weight gain, right? Just straight up Liberator, just to be cut to the chase here. Are you fat? Right? Because if you're fat, there's a good chance your hypertension will be denied because of your fatness. And if you're fat, but then it's as a result of your mental health or your medication that you're on, that's a different story. Okay? Or if you're skinny, then you're kind of pigeonholed into hypertension secondary to PTSD. Hope that makes sense. All right, Marcella, what's your favorite franchise? Then Lord of the Rings. Maybe you should do another. Yeah. If I had to choose one, Lord of the Rings is hands down number one. Star Wars kind of got a boost when Disney bought it, and they came out with like the 2 seasons of Clone Wars. Again, I'm not a big animation fan, but those 2 seasons are. If you haven't seen the last 2 seasons of Clone Wars, everyone needs to watch it. Okay, it is amazing, great storytelling. But Lord of the Rings is hands down my favorite. It's not even close. There's just not much of it, right? I mean, Amazon bought they're doing Rings of Power, which is like okay, I guess. I'm not complaining because I just want more of it, but it could be better. But yeah, Lord of the Rings, hands down, no contest. What the VBA scheduled a mental health CMP exam with my VA psychiatrist that I meet? No, they wouldn't. It would probably be contracted out. And if you are one of the few veterans who receive your CMP exam from VA personnel, it would not be your primary or referred care. You could ask them to complete a DBQ for you, right? But they could say no, and they're probably going to. I think that when we're rated, they should backdate our effective date to when we left service. That would be nice, okay? But it would be a lot of money. Imagine this. You have Vietnam-era veterans who decide to submit a claim in 2025 for PTSD and Agent Orange hypertension or whatever, and they get 80%. And if you backdate that all the way back to service, you're going to bankrupt America more than we already are. There is an argument as to why that should be the case, but I think we're barking up a tree that we can't climb. What are your thoughts on the Wounded Warrior Project? So all veteran service organizations are good. There's some scandalous stuff happening at the American Legion. But generally speaking, all veteran service organizations are good, and their accreditation is individual, meaning you can have one accredited service officer at Wounded Warrior Project and 10 others, and half of them can suck and half of them could be really good, right? So the organization, good. In terms of VA disability claims, its service officer independently should be evaluated versus lumped together. It's like saying like all cops are bad, right? Everyone knows they're not, but it's hard to broad label VSOs. Yes, I only went to the VA, but you do what you want. Yeah, I only use the VA personally. All right, will your VA primary care doctor fill out your ANA form? They could, okay? I filed without that part, thinking they would do it. Yeah, they could if they are willing, all right? That's a big if. TC, thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it. Does the VA accept an at-home sleep apnea test if reviewed and diagnosed by a doctor? Yes, absolutely. Some CMP exams, if you submit a sleep apnea claim without a diagnosis, which is wild to me, but if you do, some of the examiners will do at-home sleep tests. All right, and it comes with instructions, and you hook it up, and it's super annoying, and it's a lot better than going in person because you're at home. On the flip side of that, I prefer in-person everything, especially for sleep test, because I want the best results possible. Right? Is that a new tattoo? It is. I'll show you. Since we're on Lord of the Rings. That's the shards of Narsil. So when it's reforged, it becomes Anduril. And that's the tree of Gondor. And the roots are like spiraling, bonding the sword back together. So it's my favorite one. And the handle, the hilt, dude, right here, it hurt. Oh, dude, it hurt. Yeah, but yeah, that's some. If you know, you know. All right, yeah. That was a good one. Okay, barbecue. How often do you think veterans get hit for fake disability? Not often. All right, Washington Post kind of outlined basically all the fraud that's happened, all the recent fraud. And you look at this year alone, this fiscal year was 3 million claims. And what, you have 30 fraud cases going back, 10 years? And that's just this year alone. So we're talking millions and millions and millions of claims with about 30 fraud cases, right? So the ratio wise, like 0.00001 something. All right, I'm at 100% a few weeks ago, but they want to reduce my foot rating from 60 to 100. Wow. That will put me at 90. Yeah, that's a big one. Can I submit a claim while in this process? Yes, you can. So you can challenge that. Challenge isn't the right word. When you get the notice, it will tell you what to do. But you can appeal that, extend the date there. You might want to lawyer up since you're 100%. But yeah, and yes, you can. I would also aim to be properly rated. So if there's more things you haven't claimed yet, you might want to look into that. All right, James West. 6+ years ago, I filed 2+ years on docket. VSO submitted one of my what I get for not double checking at hearing. If I ever get one, can I add it back? I'm curious as what you mean barbecue claims, like maybe BDD claims. BBD. Is that an acronym for a condition that I'm just not aware of? Am I crazy? Anyways, what I get for not double checking. At hearing, if I ever get one, can I add it back? The hearing is for that specific claim, right? Or lump of claims there. And if you're going to Board of Veteran Appeals, I would lawyer up. I would lawyer up. If there's ever a time to lawyer up, it's when you're at the BVA. And you're at the BVA. Jeremiah, be careful with HLRs. Absolutely. I did one to correct an effective date, and now they propose to reduce me at some BS. Yes. That's kind of why we did the claim review option for $100 with Kish. People don't like hearing this, but it's the truth. Okay. When you do, let's say you are 92% and you submit a supplemental appeal for IBS, and that's 30%, so that gets you to 100. But the IBS claim they gave you on your supplemental appeal date, not your retroactive original intent to file date. You're like, hey, that's wrong. And you might even be correct. Okay. You might even be correct, and they'll backdate your IBS effective date. But once you submit that HLR for the effective date of that single claim, the DRO has your entire life in their hands. Every claim you've ever submitted, everything that's been adjudicated, they're going to review it. People say it's not true. They're an idiot. Don't listen to them. This is true. Okay. When you are in the DRO hands, that's it. You're there. There's no getting out. And they're going to review everything to include your IBS. And so if you are submitting a higher level review for your effective date and you're 100% P&T, really, really think about what you're doing. Okay. Really consider the blowback and the evidence of your prior claims. And if you feel shaky, the answer is just take the loss and be happy with P&T. All right. I know people are going to get butthurt about that, but it is what it is. Can you get rated for flat feet and a plantar fasciitis? No, you cannot. They share the same rating. Very clear in the M21 TAC one. I'll just link a video for you, and it'll explain why that is. Which is going to be, how is this VA disability rated? And it is boom, right here. Class planus, planner ratings. There we go. Yeah, if you ever want to know how the VA rates something, just hop on this playlist. Here's all your common stuff. All right. And the best playlist you could possibly have on YouTube, by the way, is right here. What you need to know. You don't need 900 videos. You need these right here. That's it. And maybe I'll start updating these. Okay. Let me make sure I didn't miss another super chat because I've been doing that lately. All right. My second super chat fell through the cracks. Oh, got it. Yeah. No worries. Thank you for asking it. You might lose social SSDI until you turn 67. Okay, Philippines. Anyone know why FOIA privacy request for C-file would be sent for compensation service case review? It's still a claim, okay? It's still a claim. It's not going to spark anything. I know why you're asking that, and the answer is it's not going to spark any reevaluations. Yes, hypertension can be secondary to sleep apnea. I would look at your intermediate step for obesity. Because if you use obesity as an intermediate step for your sleep apnea, I would also use obesity as an intermediate step for your hypertension, which is a much stronger claim. Reason why the Major Registrar Act didn't get passed. So it's not that it didn't pass. I mean, that's the end result. It's that it didn't even get to see a vote. Okay. Senator Wicker, Republican, stated that the Major Registrar Act is double dipping. And that video is right here. Although he's probably receiving CRDP. Major Registrar Act. Oh, MRSA. Okay. But that's why. So it didn't even get to see a vote to not pass, which is way worse than just not passing. Okay. I am recently diagnosed by my civilian doctors for severe sinusitis with CT scans and all. Also observed deviated septum and discussed surgery for it. Would surgery help or hurt my VA claim? Aha, this is a great question. I will show you the answer. Okay. So the answer is it depends. And we will go here. We'll go to Gunny Google. All right. Sinusitis, 38 CFR, ECFR, boom, boom, respiratory. Sinusitis. Right here. Can you, let me scoot over. Okay. Following radical surgery with chronic, all that, or near constant sinusitis characterized by headaches, pain, tenderness, affected sinus, and purulent discharge or crusting after repeated surgeries. Okay, so if surgery fails, it will help. And then you look at 3 or more incapacitating episodes of antibiotic treatment, which is 30. This is a common, 30 and below is common. Okay. That 50 criteria requires after repeated surgery. So remember, this is an or statement. So it's this or this. All right. So following radical surgery with chronic osteomyelitis, or all these symptoms, or crusting after repeated surgeries. Okay. So the answer is maybe. If surgery helps, right? So sinusitis can be a big one or it can be a big bust. Okay, hold on. We have a super chat. I don't want to skip it. Brandon Scales, thank you very much. Did 100% P&T law pass for those who want to add TSP? I don't even know what you're talking about, but I'm just going to say no, because if it did, I would have been on it. If someone can type below what you're talking about, I can at least give it a quick search. But I haven't seen anything related to that whatsoever. Right, and TSP is going to be reserved for your federal employees, military, federal civilian, stuff like that. In fact, I need to roll over my TSP right now, and I keep kicking that can down the road. I had a sleep apnea test done from home. Oh, yeah. Diagnosis is a diagnosis. Have you ever heard of a vet winning a lawsuit for negligence because a service member reporting an in-service event? Service member gets examined and diagnosed, but told you will adjust. I'm very confused. So the answer to your question is no. I have not heard of that. For negligence. Nope, haven't heard of it. All right. It makes sense to have that at an at-home test. Most insurances won't cover overnight ones. Yeah. Yeah. And there's tons of at-home sleep apnea tests. What was the secondary to? That's a question here. Question. Filed for allergic rhinitis increase and scheduled for a CMP exam. Will they only do the allergy part or will they go through the sinusitis questions too? Okay. Looking at rhinitis. So it's going to be polyps. CT scan is what you want. Okay. Let me just go back to the beginning so we can just teach people how to fish here. Whoa, that's not what I wanted. Okay. Rhinitis, 38 CFR, ECFR. This works with everything. You click the schedule ratings here. You just Control F, rhinitis. This is hands down the most common. Okay, hands down. There's some other rhinitises. You have you're gonna die rhinitis, then bacterial. Hands down, this is what most people are talking about. And so, with polyps, without polyps, that's what we're talking about. And if you don't have the obstruction, then it's 0%. Okay. And we're talking about rhinitis. All right. Not necessarily sinusitis. And now, if you have a diagnosis for sinusitis, I'd go ahead and submit that claim too. Okay. Forward Act. Let me search this up real quick because I haven't heard of it. Oh, it's new. Introduced. No movement. So to answer your question, it's just been introduced, which means nothing. Where's the summary at? Oh, there's no summary text. I wonder if the CBO has a report on this one. Let me look at that real quick. I'm going to save that window. No movement at all. None. So it definitely didn't pass, just introduced. I'm going to take a look at that later on. All right, speaking of DROs and HLRs, I noticed the quality of DROs drop over the past couple of years. Formerly poor RVSRs are now carrying the very poor DROs. Yep. To my understanding, a lot of good VA employees left. I know of 2 of them personally. Thank you so much for answering that. It's been over a year with no update and no one at DAV knows or, yeah. Not all service officers are created equal. Let's just say that. All right, James Sims. I'm 100% P&T. Should I go for SMC? 9 times out of 10, the answer is no. All right. There's that very niche veteran where the answer is yes. Okay. Only you can answer that, and there's no way I can give you any advice without knowing this right here. Right? I don't even know what you're connected for. I don't know what you've been denied. I don't know your claim situation. I don't know if you have other claims on the table. Right, but hey, we can do a claim review if you want. Just shoot us an email. This is the first time I've made it to the bottom of a live stream, of a live chat. Just go to PCP twice a year. Totally agree with that, right? Totally agree. Just watch the feet video. Thanks. Hey, thank you for watching. Appreciate it. I'm at the gym doing cardio, and your chicken fillet is making me hungry. If someone is 100% PNT, do you recommend pursuing SSI, or is it difficult to work? Okay. So this is a you thing. All right. If you cannot work, should you pursue SSDI? Why not? Okay. Now, if you can work, my answer to that is you should work. You should absolutely work. All right. It's more money, there's more to your future. Depends on what type of life you want. But there's no way I can advise you on that. That is you have to figure that out for what you want out of life. All right. Yeah, I'm just assuming SSDI. Zombie Slayer. What does the DoD VA consider as a combat vet? If I was deployed to UAE and supported combat operations, would I be considered a combat vet by the DoD and VA? So first off, I would say DoD would require, it depends. Is it hazardous duty pay, imminent danger pay? Is that what qualifies someone to be a combat vet? Is it having a combat action ribbon or infantry badge or the action badge? What does that look like? I can tell you my definition for combat vet is if you were in combat. So according to this comment, that would be, and according to me, it would be no. All right. Unless, of course, you have the car, the CIB, or the cab. But Zombie Slayer, the answer doesn't really matter, to be honest with you. I appreciate your work. I'm in Nova too. Word. I live in Annandale. I'm on the border of Annandale and Alexandria. All right. How detailed should I be on a disagreement with doctors' post-visit notes? Well, if you're talking healthcare, okay, there's two lenses. If you're talking healthcare, you need to communicate your healthcare needs. If you're using VA, I would do that through secure messaging system. That's what I would use. If you're talking about it from a VA disability lens, I would still use the VA secure messaging system and do one issue at a time. Don't go in there throwing 20 issues at them. All right. One issue at a time, and I would prioritize it. The VA secure messaging system, you can do that on the VA app on your phone, all right, or on a desktop. Same, RB. A few weeks ago, I had a CMP exam for frequent urination. I was just notified that they wanted to do second CMP exam. Currently 90, including PTSD and headaches. Having seconds bad or good. Totally depends. All right. I want to know what the results of your first exam were. Because if you had a favorable exam and then you're having a second exam, obviously that would be bad. If it was an unfavorable original exam and now you have a pending second exam because a claims processor found something or whatever, then it could be good, right? So it just depends. I just filed for 20 claims after being out of the Air Force since 2000. I used AME to help with diagnosis and DBQs. They were quick and easy to work with and delivered all documents in just 3 weeks. ANTX, that's awesome. I'm glad AME worked well with you. Okay. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Appreciate it. If you want to use AME, you'll find it below in the description. But it'll look something like this, which is right here. And let's see what their availability tomorrow. Right, they have all kinds of availability. It's a free consultation. Free consult. For free. Yep. Cab would be in that. Got mine 1 year after IU. Yes, I answered that one. The answer is yes. If you were considered a CV, you get free 5 years medical care at VA. Oh, look at this. The VA defines combat veteran as anyone who received hostile fire pay, imminent danger pay, or combat medals. Why wouldn't you just submit a claim? Why are you just submit your claim, Zombie Slayer? If you received imminent danger pay. I don't know. That doesn't make sense to me. Why wouldn't you just submit your claims? Why would that even be a thing? That's the bottom. I've never made it to the bottom on a live stream. It only took me 2 hours and 20 minutes. So maybe I end it an hour earlier. Anyways, we made it to the end. First time that's ever happened on this channel. And with that, we got one more question. Stationed in Turkey and received hostile fire pay, believes considered war zone, tax-free. Yeah. Sure. Yes, it does. Imminent danger pay, according to the VA. Anyways, hit like, do all the things. I'd appreciate it. I'm going to bounce out an hour earlier. Thank you.